You want to climb, you want to win, you want to carry, and you want to do it with the jungle position. You got 2 things you need to master. 1, jungle theory and how to actually play the role, and 2, picking a champion with the best build or a unique build that allows you to distribute pain and suffering onto the enemy laners. Let's begin. Comet Udyr is the weirdest one I've seen, and honestly when I saw it for the first time I said, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this. And that's a true story. The reason you go for Comet isn't because of necessarily Comet, although we'll get to that. It's for the fact that yes, Axiom Arcanist boosts every bit of damage, shielding, and healing that you have. Yes, on all your spells, not just the ultimate button. However, the catch is it only works with your Awakened passive on all of those abilities. However, that does mean you have it from level 1 onward. And while the Comet itself does provide some damage, especially on your ultimate ability, Wingborne Storm, the R button, not necessarily the ultimate, it's not really something that you're gonna go all in on. It's not like an Electrocute proc. But Celerity and Water Walking provide that which Udyr needs in order to thrive. Going fast, stunning people, and assassinating them. Yeah, you can do this with your AD focus build. You can also do it with your Leandri's tank build. That means you can go for booties and approach velocity on your secondary page, but most people like to go Legend, Haste plus Triumph for the shorter spell cooldowns, which lead to a faster reduction in cooldown for the Awakened stance. And the point of that is to make sure you have more Axiom Arcanist damage. That is a cool component here. It's still that the Keystone provides core value without being absolutely useless, unlike the Domination Tree, which literally has a useless row. Every rune is doing something in a full system. You still rush Leandris into Deadmans into tank items, and for sure you can go into the Riftmaker or Cosmic Drive if you want. It gives you more oomph to your damage, but outside of that, business as usual, really. You're just maximizing the one rune that has the best synergy with the champion by design, might I add. Oh, by the way, please, after maxing R, please have 3 points in E first, and then max W. Normally everyone's all like, yeah, do R then W, that's straight up, and then when you're doing AD, go Q then E. This time, my friends, we want to slap a bit more into the E, because if you're going to have extra damage amp, and if you're going to have extra movement speed from the page, you might as well really lean into it. Pretty juicy actually, it's weird as hell, but it's juicy. And despite what Challenger junglers tell you, you're not gonna get to Challenger just by building these weird things. They're great, but you need the best jungle theory to go with it, and for that, head over to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching, coaching classes, a jungle VOD library. We already have a lot of community VOD reviews and coaching classes for Season 15, sharing all the tips and tricks to reach new peaks in this season. All the fundamentals you need for right now are available in a ridiculous amount of hours for content tailored for your MMR so you can climb to reach your peak rank as fast as possible. So to hit your peak rank in Season 15 and jungle diff every game you play, head to the link in the description below or to Virkayu.gg. Okay, so I was kinda hoping not to put Graves in this video, but it seems I don't have a choice because the champion is eternal. His balance state, in my opinion, isn't that great objectively. I think he's powerful. I think if you're good on the champion, you will climb and you will carry. I don't think he's objectively good for people just to pick up, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is with this build, it could actually be a thing. As I'm sure you can see and you're aware of, Opportunity, Collector, into your Lord Dominix. The reason is here is because if you want more burst from finishing your first item, but you maybe don't want to spend a lot more gold, Opportunity is there, pun intended. Sure, you might lose some movement speed from Yumu's, but the damage from Opportunity can be nuts when paired with Graves' kit. And obviously the rune set. Yeah, the second page has been nerfed a little bit for him, but we have Dark Harvest and that was buffed, so he's happy. You follow this up with the same usual lethality build, and just a general tip for Graves building this build or any build, but mostly for this build really. Think deeply about your jungling in terms of what I need to give up early. You don't need to be a psycho level 1, level 2 invader. Simply controlling your own camps, taking grubs when they're available, swapping over to dragons when you can, sneaking in a few camps here. Even if lanes are losing, even if the enemy jungle is getting fed, you are Graves, you have Dark Harvest, and this build is crazy. So simply buy your time and then think deeply about how you want to eviscerate souls. And that's a nice transition because Fiddlesticks, he sees your soul and he wants to suck it. The second row of the domination tree overall is absolutely garbage, to the point that even stat sites like U.GG says, what data? Because it's irrelevant, it's useless basically. And I agree deeply with that sentiment. It might reduce your effigies by a ton, but it's not really comparable to having the extra AP from Eyeball collection, and due to this, the sorcery tree has started to become a little bit more popular. The reason why combat in particular here is good on Fiddle is because the keystone gets reduced by your R and W. So that means while you're fearing people and sucking people, the more you stay in the fight, and thus the more you can proc the Comet. And yes, Electrocute has good win rates, it functions well. We have a decent synergy with that rune page plus the secondary page of Axiom Arcanist. Yeah, Ultimate Hunter plus that is good. The thing is, when you have action markers that boost your damage and reduces your cooldown overall, it's just a good rune for Fiddle regardless. But then what you can do with the Comet page instead of the Electrocute page is, while you're not going to kill someone one-on-one super easily in terms of being an assassin, you're going to have a better team fight, and you can still go Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter on the secondary page. You can have Transcendence for higher cooldowns earlier, and then of course you have Gathering the Storm to scale really well. So you get the cooldowns of your ultimates combined, or you can opt into other secondary pages like Cosmic and Hex Flash, although personally I like the double ultimate stacking. And to talk about stacking, Aftershock Willem is here to stack on ADCs and destroy them by being unkillable, even though they think he's unkillable anyway. So if for some reason you don't like going phase rush on Nunu and Willem, classically, and when he was released, we went Aftershock. That's what you did, even with the hybrid builds. Obviously, in the last couple of years, we got that phase rush juice. What Aftershock will do is give you enough quick burst of resistances during engages to survive. But here's the thing about Nunu and Willem. They're actually one of the squishiest tanks in the game if we go by the base health growth rune alone, which means overgrowth as a rune offsets that by helping you become tankier. You also have your Q healing and your shield and your R scaling off of HP, so it's a nice little cheeky bonus that you get from the rune. Many go relentless with Cheap Shot for the secondary tree. I've always done that on Udyr Jungle when I've run it. I just love that combination. However, if you dislike the domination tree, as we've already established we all do right now, you can go Legend, Haste, and Triumph as well. The best part about it is that you can go the same build with Liandry's into tank, and you can feel even more tankier with Aftershock as a result, while still dishing out mega damage. For the phase rush rune page, alternatively, you can go Transcendence instead of Celerity for having more haste in your fights, more objective takings, camp sequences, and Axiom Arcanist works really well too if you want to engage around your ults more often. Two builds for Nunu and Willem there for one of the best junglers you can solo carry in the game with in terms of tank and hybrid damage. And also remember, please, the nerf to Abyssal Mask means you can go other itemization, as you can see on your screen now. Think free, my friends, but not so much that you leave the box and forget what was in the box in the first place. Next up, we're gonna talk about Vi. She's popular as Arcane makes her, but also because people realize, well, you know, if the game isn't gonna change that much and mobility creep is just gonna keep on happening, why not pick things that give guaranteed lockdown and damage? Now, historically, we know, yes, Trinity Force is good, Sundered Cicada is good, Black Cleaver, Sterix Gauge, yada yada, very boring. What about the lethality builds that say, listen ADC, you die. Listen Hyper Carry enemy team, you die. You're tired of that same bruiser build? Do you want to R someone then one shot them? This is for you. Humans helps with aiming your Q even better because you can activate the movement speed it provides, so the flash combos do become absolutely lovely. Halo Blades helps you do a lot of upfront damage due to Opportunity's passive, and yes, a lot of opportunity in this page. Yes, you might be absolutely eviscerated in an instant, but you also kill them in an instant. So pick your targets wisely, don't engage too far, pay attention to if they've got peel around you, but your game style doesn't change. Play around your 6, my friends. If you don't see ganks early, don't force it. Yeah, you can be low econ, walking into lanes and waiting around, giving up your Campstone Graves. Why? You're such an amazing solo queue carry jungler. Lean into that, especially if you want to go lethality. You need to have that advantage in gold, experience, and itemization. And therefore, if you need to focus on your 6, don't feel guilty about it. Rush it, get it as soon as possible. You should force a fight around Grubs or Dragon, and if not, you're looking to lane gank, slide in a gank, whatever kind of gank you want to obliterate the chosen win condition you have. That is a different thing. Please choose the right win condition and know your target selection, know who you're ulting. Don't waste your R on a Lulu when there's a Katarina that you're gonna have to hit first. Target selection is the most important thing, but not only that, target swapping. You can engage with your Q and your R and such things, but your Q is off a really low cooldown later on. Turn back and think about who you're peeling now, perhaps, instead of just chasing someone across the jungle in the forests of time. Alright, some builds we've been testing in the Jungle Club to make sure they're primed. You think you've seen this before? No, you haven't. This is Titanic Hydra Trinity Force. Itemization orders are very important. As you note in this build, going Trinity Force first or second has a difference of 10% win rate. Obviously sample size withstanding, and obviously use your brain to assess when and where to use this. This build has always been one of my classic favorites. The Sheen on the Warwick combo, the chomp is massive. Some champions you're gonna struggle against in terms of out DPSing them, and you're thinking, whoa, Warwick? Yeah, something like a really fed Master Yi, especially since Freak has some sort of weird attraction to buffing this champion with his true damage, which nobody needed, but he has anyway. In that case, the chomp on your Sheen is absolutely beautiful and massive and sounds amazing. When you don't need the lifesteal necessarily, when you are not going to go that route, when you want to ensure that you're going to get huge Q chomps up front at the end of fights, this is when you go that build. It is something that is great for snowballing, something that is great for tempo control. It is not something where you're going to go and auto attack the Baron and try and solo it. It's not something when you're going to go and sustain against high damage, high HP building tanks. This is something where you know I'm going to 1v9, I'm going to beat up their squishy, I'm going to beat up the person who cannot DPS me, and then I'm going to hit turrets and end. Hence Hysterics gauge. What you can then go afterwards, obviously, is a little bit trolly, but you can flex into your tank itemization, or something like, I don't know, Terminus plus Jack Show. The runes are all the same, obviously. It's just basically highlighting a different aspect of Warwick that people don't think about anymore. They just think Titanic and Blade and Strikebreaker. No, my petit chéri, think a little bit bigger in terms of what Warwick can accomplish, especially if you are OTPing or hard maining this champion. We've had great success with it. It's not a blind default build, although I kind of do go that way sometimes. It's something that you need to understand when to build what, and this gives you huge burst damage and huge 1v9 carry potential. The final build here is, yes, going to be my Zyra tech. She has been on and off with popularity lately. The Electrocute buff did bring her back to that rune set. I've spent most of my working life of League of Legends playing Zyra Jungle, about a decade at this point. My entire mission was to get everyone to build what you see on your screen now, Electrocute with obviously the secondary precision page. That was by far and away the best way to play her, and the mission worked. That's what everybody builds now. The thing is, as soon as they removed Eyeball, and this was pre-Electrocute buff, guess what? It was shit. You had to go Comet. And obviously I spent my whole year last year saying don't go Comet. I was annoyed at this, but Axie Machinus offset the Ultimate Hunter, Transcendence has always been good, Gathering the Storm or Water Walking as your choices depending on your MMR range gave you utility and damage, or both, and you didn't have to go the abomination that is the Domination tree. However, with the buff to Electrocute, you can swap in if you choose to do so. However, the whole point of that is not this, it is as you see now, Leandries, Bloodletters into, if you want to go Shadow Flame because your head you can, or Zhonya's. This allows you to solo Barons at a hilarious rate. In fact, I just did one last weekend with it. But it also gives you so much more HP and utility in terms of killing people, not the HP and utility in terms of slowing people with Rylai's. Sure, you can go there, but honestly, I've been building that for 10 years, it's boring. The best part about Mythic Era was not having to build these two things, so excuse me if I don't want to do it again. And also, I do believe this is significantly stronger. It gives you early pen, and of course it is a pen item, so you can't buy void stuff with it. So now you can think a little bit more about the Shadow Flame, Zhonya's, Banshees, maybe a Death Cap if you're super far ahead. But when you fuse this with Comet, yeah, of course, you lose the early game damage. Everything that I said about Electrocute and why it's the best is true. But with the Electrocute, you don't have the innate scaling of the AP from the Eyeball collection. That is a huge problem with that rune in terms of getting stronger. Whereas now you basically say, like with Fiddlesticks, hey, this Comet is still gonna do 3 to 4k damage very easily. No, I'm not gonna have the assassination potential, and that's why I go the Bloodletters. It gives me the pen, the health to survive. It's basically the best of absolutely everything being offered right now into a singular package that allows me to survive against the cringe meta and also destroy the cringe meta. So if you want to go back to Electrocute, it is good, go for it. If you like all of your rune pages to actually do something, go with Comet, and the secondary page is the same in both cases, but Leandries, Bloodletters, Shadow Flame, or Zhonya's. Try it, enjoy it, it's super good, use it the whole season, had a lot of fun with it. But the build from last season that I ran with the Leandries, Shadow Flame, Electrocute combo, that's still great, you can still do that. This is just something that was popping quite well in most of the season. The data has fallen off as people stop building it, but go ahead and try it and maybe use the jungle principles from this video, and as a combination, that should equal a lot of LP.